Okay, so now I pitched you on how I teach my son with Angry Birds. So now I'm gonna talk about that. This is my son Keaton on his let's see, 6th birthday. And some would say he is obsessed with Angry Birds. For those who perhaps don't know, maybe there's one of you in here, but for that one person, Angry Birds is a highly popular video game that you can get on your mobile devices, and you shoot birds at pigs who are trying to steal the birds' eggs. But it's popular, and it's fun, and it's addicting. So too with my son. Some would call it an obsession. I call it a passion and an opportunity, and here's why. So I believe passion-driven learning, child-led learning, self-discovery, unschooling, whatever you want to call it, I like passion-driven learning, focuses on the needs of the individual. In the case of my child, Keaton, my son, I have identified quite easily what one of his passions are. And so I want to then build around his passion all of the different subjects that he would otherwise be learning. In our home, we do not have textbooks, we do not do workbooks, we do not have curricula. We do not sit down and say, here's a manual that we're going to go through together as a family. We center all of these subjects around what his passion is. Now, we're not perfect at it, we're new to it, but this is the direction that we're heading. So what we do is with each subject, we find an Angry Birds twist. So, for example, science. They're like, I asked my son this morning, I said, Keaton, how many Angry Birds games are there? And within like 1 second, he had said, oh, there's 16. And he begins to list them all off. So this is, on the right is Angry Birds Space, which is a little bit different in that there's these planetoids or asteroids, and you can see that blue field around it is, I guess, the gravitational pull. And so as soon as you fling the bird into the gravitational pull, it starts to spin closer and closer until it hits the planetoid. And so I teach him about gravity. I teach him about mass and acceleration, about momentum, and more broadly physics, all couched with examples of things that pertain to him. What 6-year-old is learning about physics? And yet my son knows quite a bit, because it's not learning about physics, it's understanding how the game he loves works. We do a lot of math. You can't probably see this from the back, but my 6-year-old knows algebra. So instead of variables of X and Y, we use the acronyms of the Angry Birds. So this was Angry Birds Star Wars. And so there's Darth Moore instead of Darth Maul. There's Imperial Probe Droid and Zam Weasel and all these different characters. So we assigned them each an acronym. So we'll start with the, let's see, IPD. So that's Imperial Probe Droid. So we did 10 IPD plus 3 IPD minus IPD divided by 6. And he solved 2 IPD. And so he's doing algebra at the age of 6 simply because he's fascinated by Angry Birds. And we were able to introduce math and complex math equations for him. Creativity. Wow. Okay, so I'm not the most creative person at all, and he certainly didn't get it from me. But he replicates entire board games with an Angry Birds twist. So down here is, if you can see closely, it's the game of Sorry. So you can see, like, here's home right here. And so he produced Angry Birds Sorry and cut out little pieces, and we played Angry Birds Sorry. He did an Angry Birds, it was like Olympics or something, and so over on the right, my daughter Linnea has 2 big awards, Angry Birds awards, with whatever the yellow character is named, and then he's holding Red, one of the main characters of Star Wars, and so he gave out prizes to the winner, and I let my daughter win, so she got the awards. But it has sparked all sorts of creativity. He role plays all the time, and at times some would say, like, he's obsessed. It's all he ever talks about. But he's learning. He's learning so many different things along the way, even though they all have a tinge of Angry Birds.